The Grammys are the worst award show out of all the award shows.
No,
Just for no.
don't
I'm just
worry.
being completely objective.
No, you're not
Music
being
is one of the
objective.
no, music is one of the most subjective tastes of all time. If you don't like country music, you're not gonna like country music because some artist says that they're good at country music.
Why do you believe this? I really want to dig into this because
because
I
some people
disagree
that just
with you.
Ejectocito, cuz! It worked! I love this!
Welcome back to the Millennial Classics, y'all. My name is Q, and I'm with Burry. And on this show, we talk about the best and most memorable movies, music, and culture-changing events from our generation. And Burry, how you doing today?
doing great, and it's a great time to be alive because one of the most influential artists of our generation has dropped new music that is not trash, which is honestly great to hear. The number one album, the number one piece of art floating in the ether. It's the best of everything. Yeah, he might be an anti-Semite, but
I love this so much.
But here's the thing. Honestly, it's a big thing. It's a big thing.
Okay, good. I'm happy you corrected yourself.
But have you heard "Do It" in a club? Because if you haven't, then we haven't talked.
I have not. And I love that you're jumping right into this. So let's jump right fucking into this.
Let's jump right into it.
And talk to me about what you're talking about, because this is a big deal. It really is a big deal. And the way you introduce it, I think, is important because I feel like you and I are in that stage of life where our favorite artists are locked in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They have yet to be a young and upcoming artist. And I'm like, holy shit, this is one of my favorites. I think it's over for me having a favorite artist. Our glory days is seeing Usher wild out on the Super Bowl stage. That's our glory days.
It doesn't even have to be that crazy. The craziest thing I've heard recently is, you know who the number one artist, the streaming artist is for the past year is?
Taylor Swift?
It's The Weeknd.
The Weeknd. Yeah.
And that's the thing. He's good. He had some hits. I will really admit The Weeknd has some hits. Like, that's all I can say is he has some hits.
Yeah.
So
I know exactly what you mean.
When I talk about Kanye West, I'm talking about him like the person who literally changed the way we listen to music. Obviously, if you are starting out listening to music now, he does not have that influence on you, which makes perfect sense. But if you are like a Kid Cudi fan, and then you can look at me in a straight face and say like Kanye has nothing to do with that, then you are full of shit, which is the main issue. Yeah. So it's kind of like this in between, right? Because Kanye has been one of the most influential artists in the 21st century, but at the same time, he's a batshit lunatic person.
Like, I am a god. Everybody says, who does he think he is? I just told you who I thought I was, a god.
It's this tough thing to reconcile, but the issue is this album is dope. That's the thing. When it's trash, it's easy.
What are you talking about? Who are you talking
When it's trash,
about?
it's easy to dump. But this is not Donda. This is not God is King. This is Vultures 1.
Yep.
So Vultures 1 has Paid, Do It, Burn, Vultures, Problematic, Burn Forgiveness, Hood Rat, Paperwork, Fuck Some, and then Carnival, which is going to be the
greatest song. Yes, I'm telling you. Yep.
Which might be the number one song in the country at the time of this episode.
Yep.
So now we're in a stage where he is an anti-Semite, which is a crazy sentence to say. Obviously, I'm not a fan of anti-Semites, but I'm just trying to give context to where we are in the culture right now, because this is not an isolated event, right, Swardick?
Of course.
This is the number one artist in the country. So we have to kind of talk about this a little bit. He is an anti-Semite. We can't dodge around that bullet. We can't be like, oh, we don't know. It's a tough thing, but I just wanted to get this out there. We're talking about the biggest cultural events of the past 6 months. Vultures 1 is one of those things. I cannot wait for Vultures 2 and 3, but I also cannot wait for Kanye to just shut up. If it's a tough time to be a Kanye fan, so that's where I'm at. And I'm sure Swardick has a lot of stuff to talk about.
No, we have to hang out and talk about Kanye a little bit more. Like you keep saying, he is an anti-Semite. He is an anti-Semite. And that's, yes, sure, he is. But the dude's also crazy. The dude's a lunatic.
I am Shakespeare in the flesh, Walt Disney. Nike, Google.
We can only take the man as seriously as he presents himself, and he's off the fucking walls
and
crazy.
He's out here getting blowies in Venice,
In Venice.
the Venice canals. So honestly, at the end of the day, it's not like I wouldn't even play Monopoly with this dude. That's the level. That's the level we're at right now.
Yes.
So at the end of the day, it's not like we are making giant decisions, but I just want to get this out there and be like, this album is a giant turning point.
As we speak right now, it's #1 on billboards. When people say he's a musical genius, it truly is the truth, right? And Kanye likes to cut out the musical and just talk about himself as a genius, which I think is a lot of pressure, a lot of praise, a lot of giving to an artist, and it goes straight to his head. And the thing is, I don't even know if it went straight to his head, because Kanye was talking about himself like this since the minute he got a mic to his lips, right? So it just might be this grandiose maniac, I am the greatest of all time. But we're talking about the music and we're talking about the album. It's hard to separate the two. Can we just talk about the music for a second? I am telling you, Hood Rat, Paid, and Carnival has been on my playlist on repeat nonstop. This man gives like no fucking other. This album bumps, you guys. It bumps. I did a reaction to Drake's For All the Dogs, and I'm like, thank God, we're getting decent music from our superstars. But this is great music.
No, shouldn't even. That Drake album should not even be compared to this, because here's the thing with that Drake album. That Drake album, if I had to compare it, I don't know if you guys have seen Thor 4.
Oh,
it's like
shit.
Thor 4.
Come on, I was about to call you
Thor 4.
Burry, don't say that.
No, it's like Thor 4.
Don't say that.
It's that type of shit where the brand is perfectly fine. Everyone loves Thor. Everyone likes Taika Waititi, the director. Everyone likes Chris Hemsworth. Everyone likes Drake. Everyone knows what they're getting into in the first place. It's going to be a fun movie that they can enjoy. And then they get there, and then it's not a good movie. You're wondering, Drake, why didn't this album come through? Because all the pieces are here. You're a superstar. You know how to do the singing bullshit. You know how to do the rapping bullshit. And that's the difference between this and the Kanye album, because the Kanye album is kind of like Black Panther 2. It's not as good as Black Panther 1. It's not top tier Kanye, but at least there's an artist there trying to do something different, and it actually shows up in the album. Black Panther 2 is not a movie where people are going to be like, okay, this is one of the best movies of all time, but people showed up. People acted their asses off.
So the thing is, I'm just going to cut you off here, because I still want to give a little bit more credit to Vultures 1, because I know it's not top tier Kanye, but top tier Kanye is like greatest albums, greatest music of all time, period. Right? Not just hip hop, not just like art, like greatest of all time.
Black Panther 1 is greatest of all time.
Exactly.
Stuff.
But this album, I would argue it's maybe better than Yeezus. Like, how far back would you go?
No, it's not better than Yeezus. It's not better than Yeezus.
You don't think it's better?
No,
it's better than everything since Yeezus, though.
It's not better than T-Lop. It's not better than T-Lop, but it is better than Kids See Ghosts. I'd say it's better than
Jesus is King, 100%.
Jesus is King.
Yep.
Better than Donda.
I'm telling you, this is great music. That's what I'm trying to get along. I'm trying to get that past, because it's so hard to say this is great music nowadays. I know it's such an old head thing to say, like, oh, fucking hip hop is dead or the music is different, but the music is supposed to be different. Maybe I'm not supposed to be connecting to this new shit that's coming out, but I'm telling you, from the artists that I know, from the artists that I love, it doesn't hit the same anymore. And this hit different, and this hit different, and it gave me a glimpse of what I remember being excited for when listening to new music back when that's all I wanted to do. And thank fucking God. Can we just say it? Kanye is the fucking king. He is the king at intros and outros. That Mike Tyson outro. Oh,
so good.
Oh,
so
listen.
Good.
I want to listen to that song just to listen to Mike Tyson talk his shit.
Good.
I'm telling you, he's the king of intros and outros.
I'm gonna make that paperwork. Honestly, so good. He's so good with that shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's the one? Big booty bitches don't fall out from. I mean, he doesn't stop giving. He knows how to package an album like no other. I fucking love it.
He's the best with that. Honestly, he's the best with that. So So that was my first topic.
We're definitely late, but we have to talk about it. It was the Super Bowl, right? So it was the Kansas City Chiefs. They beat San Francisco, the 49ers. It was 25-22. It went into overtime. The fucking game was fantastic. Fantastic game starting from the second half. It was a decent game in the first half, but starting from the second half, when it went to overtime, I said, holy shit, this is going to be a fucking one for the books. I had no money on the game, and neither of these teams speak to me. But obviously, we're talking about a generational quarterback in Patrick Mahomes. He went back to back, and now he's talking about going for 3. I mean, it's incredible to see the man fucking play football. It just is. And then the highlights around the fucking Super Bowl is I just talked about Usher, one of our all-stars, did a great halftime show, a fantastic halftime show, which is always nice to see. Taylor Swift in the audience. Everyone was talking about Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce almost as much as the fucking Super Bowl itself. Beyonce drops new music. I mean, there were streakers at the fucking game. Nickelodeon streamed the game. Nickelodeon, right? It made me excited for my little guy. Even Biden got into some of the fucking hype of the game with the little meme that he had about just the way we planned it with his eyes super red and saying that he planned this. I loved the entire Super Bowl. I thought it was entertainment at its best. It had everything. It had the superstars, the celebrities. It had the fucking halftime show that everyone wanted. It was a game for the fucking books. Patrick Mahomes is putting his name in history. It was everything that you want in a big celebrity entertaining night. And I thought it was one of the better Super Bowls in the last few years. It just was a good time.
This is a turning point in the Super Bowls where Pat Mahomes is on 3 at this point. He's at the beginning to middle-ish of his career, and he has 3. It's kind of getting dangerous. Can Pat do it? We witnessed greatness once in our life, and we were all told that this is the one time we're going to witness it. So it would be crazy if we can witness it again. For some reason, it just happens to him. Every game is close. Every game, he gets to throw a fucking touchdown winner. Every game, it comes down to the end. So we've gotten Kanye and the Super Bowl out of the way. My next item on the list, I'm going to just keep it real light. It's the Epstein list.
Oh, shit.
From the end of last year, because there was a funny story. A news story came out about, okay, we're going to leak the Epstein list because it's finally coming out to the public. What ended up happening was a bunch of celebrities got leaked. They never actually went to Epstein Island. They were just Epstein Island adjacent, right?
What does that mean? What does that mean?
We didn't know.
What does that mean?
So it was like, oh, the flight that took these people on the flight before, these people were on the flight before. Greatest story out of all of this was because when all of this came out, it all leaked at the same time. And of course, people started writing stories about it ASAP. The best story was Stephen Hawking.
Yeah.
Was an Epstein Island evangelist. Loved it. Couldn't get enough of Epstein Island. Not only couldn't he get enough of Epstein Island, he made, personally, I hate this word. I don't want to use it. I'll use it for now just to give some context to it. I would rather say little people. I'll just say midgets. Do math equations on a blackboard, but the blackboard was mounted too high for them to do the full math equations. So he would have to watch them jump up to write on the blackboard while he was getting off on all this stuff. This was the rumor that came out about Stephen Hawking during the Epstein hunt. I just want to make sure that everyone's on the same page here.
Wait, are you serious? Is this real? Is that a real rumor?
No, of course.
There's no fucking way.
But it was real for a week.
Oh, okay.
until people debunked all this shit. All these names, day one, were just dropped.
Can I ask you something about the list? Is this list just people who were on his flight, or is this list of the people who actually went to the island?
I'm pretty sure the list was just people who've flown a plane that also had Epstein on it.
Oh, then that's fucking. So then, what are we talking about?
Right,
that's the thing.
That's the thing. So it's also bullshit. I don't know how many of this list have actually been on Epstein Island. No one does. That's the issue. So then when people started giving rumors about, oh yeah, Stephen Hawking likes midgets to be jumping up and down while they're doing math equations, everyone was like, oh shit, he's a fucking pervert. And I just want to state the
Okay,
fact
because
that
I just Googled the list and I was like, okay, so I was looking at it and I was like, there's a lot of, I mean,
bullshit.
yeah, it's like, I'm like, there's a ton of people here. And like
Yeah,
from every fucking, like,
right.
like industry, culture,
Right,
entertainment,
right.
like
It makes
business,
no sense. It
whatever.
honestly makes no sense.
So
Makes
why?
no sense.
So the thing about this list, because the scary thing is the people want to know who was involved in the actual dirty of what Epstein was doing. So they feel like if we just dump all of these names, everyone who ever talked to the man, so then the people who actually were prominent on that list doing wild shit, you just lose them in the mess of all of these crazy names. You know what I mean? I think they have to do it this way because if they just made the list, these are the 15 people who went to the island, those people are done. There's no coming back from going to Epstein's island. But if the entire list is anyone who's ever talked to the man, I don't give a shit about this list.
And here's the thing. This leads me to my next thing because if you are in a situation where you have to distract the masses and you have to make sure people aren't talking about midgets, they're not talking about people doing shit on islands, you need them to be focused, locked in, distracted. What better project to launch than this baby right here?
The Apple Vision Pro.
Is this one of the items you had?
This is exactly one of the items I had. Yes,
So,
I'm very happy that you're talking about this. We talk about the culture changing events. It's because this is the stuff that I honestly believe is going to shift culture, is going to shape the world that we are in. You know, when you talk about the Facebook one that whatever it's called, the Meta Mask,
Oculus.
See, I don't even know the name of that. It seemed like that's a nerdy thing to do. And I don't know if Apple just has that prestige, but I gotta tell you something. For those folks who enjoy new tech, for those folks, and I say those folks, but literally everyone and their mother currently has an iPhone, if you know, right? Anyone you know has an iPhone, and both their parents and that person's kids and everyone you know has an iPhone. So when Apple drops something like this, they are telling you this is the future. This might be the wildest version because you have to remember, if this is what they're giving to you now, it's only going to get better. It's only going to get lighter. It's only going to improve after people are using it. People are telling you, I don't like this aspect. I don't like that aspect. The battery life is not long enough. Whatever the fuck. All right. And they make the price point so high, so those who actually want it really need to invest in it.
It's aspirational.
Exactly. It's aspirational, $3,500. Okay.
Right.
So this is the beginning, ladies and gentlemen. This is
Right.
the beginning. And they call it spatial computing. This is the beginning of the era of spatial computing. If you haven't, please do me a favor and just type in YouTube Apple Vision Pro demo, whatever the fuck.
If you really want to get a sense on this, MKBHD has a great reviews on this, but the video I would send you to is Casey Neistat's video, and he rides around New York City wearing a Apple Vision Pro, and he talks about how it interacts with other people as well as how he gets around. And it's one of those things where you really get a sense of what the product is supposed to be, because what people don't understand is when you put on an Oculus, you get the sense that it's all right, cool. This is almost like a toy. But when you put on an Apple Vision
you want to
Pro,
give it a little bit more credit than that. Do you really
no,
believe
it's
that?
not a toy.
Like, wait, do you mean it like a toy, like a video game console toy? Because that's at a different level. When you say toy,
I'm not saying it's like a toy. I'm saying it's like a toy. Like there's stuff you can do with it, but you can't do a lot of stuff.
Gotcha.
So like you put it on, and then you can watch movies and you can play games with it.
Yeah, and it looks cool. Yes,
and it looks cool. And then when you take it off, you're like, all right, cool. That was fun. But what ends up happening with stuff like that is you put it off to the side after a while because you're like, I can do that on my laptop. I don't want to have to put on something on my face. But what this does is when you put it on, it's a computer inside. It's your computer. So you put it on and it's right back where you left off. and then you remove it and it's right back to where you left off. What's going to happen is hopefully I'm going to be able to share this with other people in my family.
Yes.
Hopefully it gets to the point where I can have an Apple Vision Pro. My rest of my family can have an Apple Vision Pro. We're on a flight and I can literally be like, and we're going to start off where we left off half an hour into Happy Gilmore. I'm going to put it on. Everyone else is going to put it on. I'm going to hit play. And I'm going to look to my right, and my entire family is going to be sitting to the right of me in a virtual movie theater watching Happy Gilmore on a flight full of 300 other people. It's going to feel like it's just me and my family watching a movie, because it is.
I'm happy you said MKBHD. And after I show you this, I really want you to explain to me more about the Casey Neistat video, because that's exactly what I want to see. Because you see all these memes about folks wearing it out in public and how goofy and insane they look. But I want the positive side of what that person is experiencing, not everyone who just can't afford it, who's hating for no reason. But I want to show you this video, the intro. I'm assuming that you've already seen it, but for the folks back home, it's literally just the first 1 minute of MKBHD's review of it. Everything I think and wanted to say about the Apple Vision Pro, he says so eloquently. So let me just share this with you.
I actually love this thing. I love this thing. Not because it's flawless or anything. It is far from flawless. But because it's actually interesting. Like, don't forget, the last 2-3 years of Apple product review comments are just, that's boring. Oh, it's just a spec bump. There's nothing really new here. Oh, they hardly change anything or try anything new these days. But this thing is interesting. It's risky. And most of all, it's new. Now, it's actually not fundamentally new. It's a VR headset. But it's new for Apple, and there are a bunch of things in here that are new in a way that only Apple would try. And just as interesting as this individual product is the possible future that this implies.
The big question is, do you plan on getting one?
No, but I do see how this could be like an Apple Vision Pro SE or an Apple Vision Pro regular, non-pro version.
Exactly.
I think $3,500 is prohibitive.
Insane. Yeah. I mean, I don't think
regular people.
Yeah.
For businesses, though, I think if you are touring, if you want to sell a super yacht and you've already had someone take a 360 video camera on every place around the boat, and you have a client that just wants to be able to see everything and walk around, I think this makes perfect sense. I think what would be sick is if they had spatial cameras in NBA arenas, and
that's 100% happen.
I could just pay $100 a month instead of $1,000 a month for season tickets. And I could put this on, and I'm right there, right in front of Jason Tatum, watching everything that's happening while he's dribbling up the court.
Yep.
I think that would be sick. I think we can kind of all see where this is going. We just need to make sure it lands.
I want to push just a little bit more, because this is one of those topics that I want to come back to this video and laugh, or just be like, we were fucking brilliant. Give me your best version of 5 years from now, 10 years from now with an Apple Vision Pro.
I think best version is Apple Vision regular 3 in 5 years is $900, and most people have it like an Apple Watch. And it's one of those things where you flip back and forth and you get bullied if you don't have one. I honestly think if anyone's going to do it, it's Apple. But the beauty of it is it helps everyone, because Oculus would love everyone to be building media for stuff like this.
Exactly.
Because then it lets Oculus sell this stuff for $200-$300. I tried an Oculus 3 for $400 last winter, and it was amazing. I had a ton of fun. It's fun. This stuff is fun.
It is.
My only issue with it is it's super isolating. And I don't know how they get around that, because it is super isolating. When you are the only person experiencing something, everyone else can't see what you're doing. And it's painfully obvious that you're the only one experiencing something. When a ball flies through and you say, oh shit, a ball is going through, or the dinosaurs are coming, and you're like, oh my God, I'm getting attacked by dinosaurs. And you're the only one in the room saying that. everyone else is looking at you like, dude, come on, we're trying to watch the game. What do
Exactly.
you?
When you're doing your solo thing, which a lot of people at this time in life, talking about how lonely and everyone's always on their phone, they're going to be using this when they're on their own. I can't imagine a situation where even if they are like one or two Apple Vision Pros in someone's house, that we're both having it on at the same time.
Right.
What you explained earlier is the perfect version of sharing a situation together with a family on the plane. But I imagine it very much like our millennial classics when we're doing movie reactions 5 years from now with the Vision 3. You're going to have one in Baltimore. I'm going to have one here in Denver. And we're going to be doing the same movie, watching it together in like a movie theater type situation. People keep talking about we're like sick and tired of outside. Everyone's going to be never going outside ever. I think this is the first step into that direction, into folks being like, why am I going to pay for parking? Why am I going to pay and sit next to random people I don't know when I can just stay in my house and pay that concert fee or that basketball, the NBA fee, and watch the game live in my house, as if I am there, but have my own toilet, my own couch, and everything near me. People said a lot of that stuff when 3D came out. People said a lot of that stuff with the nice HD TVs, but this is a different fucking level. Folks who don't have the money to pay the $3,000 or the $1,000 for the Vision Pro are going to buy the Facebook version of it, which is going to be just like Samsung has their phone and Apple has the iPhone. It's going to be that. So that's what I at least think is going to be the future of Apple Vision Pro. What do you think about Trump sneakers?
I think they're trash, but honestly, I think a lot of sneakers are trash. So I'm not the type of person that you ask about sneakers.
I have one more main topic.
Yeah, talk about it.
Just a couple of highlights of the Grammys was Taylor Swift made history by winning Album of the Year for her album Midnights. She has won the most Album of the Year Grammys of all time. She was recently tied with Frank Sinatra and Stevie Wonder and Paul Simon. So I think this was her fourth time winning it, and now she is the record holder. Yeah. Killer Mike did fantastic things at the Grammys and then got arrested at the end. He took all of the rap categories, winning Best Rap Performance, Best Rap Song, and Best Rap Album, which I thought was amazing. Talking about how much you appreciated Vultures 1. Have you listened to Michael?
I've listened to Michael, but and this is the part that I want to stress out completely. The Grammys are the worst award show out of all the award shows. If I'm being blunt, I think most people could agree that who gives a shit what other people think about music? Who cares what other people think?
No.
Just for no. I'm just being completely objective.
No, you're
music
not being
is
objective.
One of the music is one of the most subjective tastes of all time. If you don't like country music, you're not gonna like country music because some artist says that they're good at country music. If you don't like hip hop, you're not gonna be like, all of a sudden Killer Mike is great because I like Killer Mike.
Out of here.
No,
but I could give you a million examples. I could give you a million examples of the exact opposite. How many folks do you think Taylor Swift brought from her country years into pop? Like, how many white folks whose parents told them never to listen to rap became rap aficionados because of Eminem? What are you talking about? I disagree with you wholeheartedly.
Okay, no.
Wholeheartedly. What are you talking about?
You think those people that liked rap also listened to Taylor Swift? No, they didn't. My point being, you like what you like. If you like rap, you like rap. Like I'm not saying there's not some people that like all those things, but my point being is that music is the most subjective art form of all of them.
Why do you believe this? I really want to dig into this because I disagree with you.
This whole genre is people don't listen to.
So why wouldn't you say this about movies? What if someone's like, I don't watch horror movies? Explain the difference between those forms of art.
Horror movies don't get nominated for any Oscars. Pure and simple.
Okay, all right.
Pure and simple. I honestly, it's that simple. Because the type of movies that get nominated are the type of movies that have
like universal appeal,
like universal appeal or something like that. It's like Beck won Best Grammy, and there's so many billions of people in the planet that are never gonna listen to Beck, that are never ever fucking give a shit about Beck. And it's one of those things where it's like it doesn't move the industry forward. One of the best awards ever given was Random Access Memories. Amazing album. Okay. One of the greatest albums of all time. It's a classic dance album. If you don't like any of those two genres, you're never going to listen to that album. Period.
That's fair.
If you listen to hard rock and country all day, you are never going to listen to the album. It's never going to cross your path. It's just your two ships in the night passing right by each other, and it's never going to cross your path. So at the end of the day, what do the Grammys mean for you? Nothing at all.
Nothing. But can I just take this with
movies?
Go ahead.
No. All I'm going to say is the crux of my argument is with music. It's tough to get people to add a genre to the music they like to listen to add an artist. Like if you tell me, oh, dude, like
that's not that hard.
I know you like Pusha T, and I know you like Lil Baby, but how about this? Kenny Chesney's got a great new song out. So why don't you take a listen to that album? That is a tough sell. But if you tell me, listen, you like The Dark Knight and you like Mad Max, so I know you like action. But here's the thing: Will Smith has got a new Oscar Beatty movie out, and it's actually really good. Emancipation, and it's really good. A lot of people will be like, "All right, fuck it. You know what? I don't like that stuff, but I like Will Smith."
Maburi, the reason I know that you're talking out your fucking ass, if it really was up to me, I would still be listening to the same music I was listening to probably since like I'd say 2019. But Apple Music,
you actually do.
Because most of the time, if it's the music I choose, but every week on Friday, I'm very excited because that's when Apple does its new music playlist for me based on the music I like. So I just disagree with you. Yes, maybe. No, I think the one thing that you are right about is it's so very, very, very hard to watch the Grammys, see someone win all of these awards, and then think to yourself, maybe I should watch that. Because when you watch the Oscars, and you're like best screenplay, best actor, best director, whatever, and it's from the same movie, you're like, holy shit, I should check that out. But at the Grammys, you're right. If I see an artist win for all of these categories, like Taylor Swift did, the thought has never crossed my mind, maybe I should listen to the album. It's never crossed my mind. It's never have. But
my entire point was Grammys are the least important music award show of all of them.
The logical conclusion to that is musicians shouldn't have award shows. So is there an award show that you think that happens in music that matters?
I'm saying no, because it's so subjective.
Okay. But
I think it's so subjective.
So
I think music is the most subjective. Someone recorded one of the most quintessential classical music albums of all time. I don't think I could get Swarek Mayanja to sit down and be like, you're right. You know what? I get the nuances of this. I get that, when Vivaldi was doing this concerto and this guy really killed it. I get this. I think Swarek could have listened to this shit and be like, what the fuck am I listening to?
Okay, I get that.
You get what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying. Like, everything that you're saying is breaking apart as I'm thinking about it, because Beyonce just now came out with 2 songs from this new album she's about to come out with, and it's country music. Black Twitter, Black Internet is obsessed with country music all of a sudden. Everyone is fucking boycotting these country radio stations that won't play Beyonce music. It's literally breaking your argument into pieces, but I still get what you're saying. Because you
cannot use Black Twitter to fucking break arguments. Because them motherfuckers just talk a lot of shit and don't do anything.
I know, but my point is, the only reason I agree with you is I actually do think that having award shows for music is a little silly. Yeah, it's the most personal form of
That's
art.
all I'm saying.
Yeah.
It matters. Some people, you had a miscarriage in 98, and that was when they were fucking Eminem dropped Mockingbird, and then you're like, yeah, this song means the most to me.
That's the wildest connection I've ever.
But I'm just saying, like, something crazy like that, and then all of a sudden, like, Mockingbird wins best album Grammy because of that. Okay. What are we talking about here? Because at the end of the day, the thing with movies is it takes 150 people to make it minimum, maybe 300 people on the big ones.
Yeah, I mean, I think like
some of them are like 1,000.
Yeah,
Oppenheimer probably took 1,000 people.
100%.
And then when you talk about Tonys, stage plays,
Yeah.
it's 1,000 people.
But music,
So
it literally can come from one person.
music, it can be Taylor Swift writing it, Taylor Swift performing it, Taylor Swift producing it. And it can be like that. So we're at this stage where, all right, it's one person's idea. And I can just be like, I just don't like it.
Okay.
You get my point? Whereas movies, I can be like, I don't like it. But here's the thing. Oppenheimer had some of the best soundtrack I've ever heard this year. I honestly don't like the movie. I don't like the actors. I don't like the director. I think the direction is terrible. I think all this stuff is terrible. But I think that the music was very good. I think that the soundtrack was very well done. You can say that about a movie. You can say that. You know what? You can even say, I hate The Dark Knight. I hate Batman movies. Heath Ledger's performance was insane. I am going to vote for him, but I don't think a Dark Knight should win Best Movie. You can say objective stuff like that. For Taylor Swift winning Best Music, you can't really be like,
you can't really.
Taylor was off pitch on one thing. I kind of like the song anyway, so
the melody
can't
was
really
good.
be like,
yeah, the production was good. I mean, you can, but I see what you're saying. Let's just agree to disagree, because art does, credit where credit is due, and I think musicians should be celebrated. And if you can come up with a better way to celebrate musicians and give them awards saying, yes, maybe this is a personal thing that you created, but it did sell the most records. If you wanted to just be on numbers alone, it will be the same artist winning for like 10 years in a row. But like, there has to be a way of saying this thing did something to the vast majority of people. Folks who are in music, folks who create music, those folks are like, there is something about this album, about this production, about this song.
We have streaming charts for that. We have streaming charts. We know that. We know that The Weeknd, most people listen to The Weeknd every year because people love that shit. And then people don't listen to Lil Yachty when he drops new music because it's trash, or Meek Mill because it's trash. And that's the thing. Empirically, we know. And here's the thing with that is movies, we've always been conditioned to do that. Box office has been a thing every year, even when there were newspapers. We always
you're so right. No, you're right.
What box office stuff came out and what was hot, what was not. We always knew that. And even if it wasn't hot, we always knew, like, listen, Daniel Day-Lewis doesn't have a hot movie out, but you should see him in There Will Be Blood. You should see him in that.
In Lincoln.
And then even if you're like, Daniel Day-Lewis isn't that good in that, you can still be like, oh, I love this other actor in that movie.
But the one point I want to just give you credit on that you're right is because, like, when a movie makes billions like Barbenheimer did, right? It's like, holy shit, I should see this because of the box office, because of what it's doing, right? I've never once heard, oh, that album went platinum, so I should listen to it. Right. Never once, ever. Yeah. So, like, I get what you're saying about.
If I hear Kenny Chesney went platinum, I'm just gonna be like, oh, "That's good for Kenny Chesney."
Exactly.
Like, I'm never gonna be like, "Oh shit, I should get to listening." And that's the thing with music; it's so subjective that you know your lane and you know the music you like. You know what drives you.
Yes, it does.
Everyone does inherently. You know what you like. That's why I just feel like music is one of those art forms that is built into your being.
Yeah.
And it's just, that's why I just feel like the Grammys are the most
pointless. No. I disagree. Because
I do know. I think you can learn stuff. I think you can grow, but I think most people don't.
Because
people don't.
Based on what you're saying, you're basically saying, like, all the black folks who like hip hop, it's just they're born with the rhythm, with the beat of hip hop in their heart. But you can't say that because that grows into other things you don't want it to be.
You just made it into a race thing because I'm just straight
okay.
Up
So
now.
make it about the fucking Midwest who loves country.
Aren't black. Most hip hop fans aren't black, and we already know that.
Yes.
We already know most hip hop fans are white. And the hip hop artists hate that, but we already know most hip hop.
And that's why Drake did so much better than people want him to do.
But let's move on because we have to keep it moving.
Yes, we do.
We'll talk about three pieces of media that have been influential in the last 3 months that I have either not stopped thinking about or come back to a bunch of times. And so the first thing of those is Godzilla -1. That movie is amazing. It's one of those movies where I don't speak Japanese. I'm not into Japanese theater. It's exactly the point I'm making with movies versus music, where I didn't have a lot of external influence before I watched this movie, and it drew me in. This movie is amazing. It got nominated for best visual effects. It cost $15 million, and you're right there with it. It's an amazing movie emotionally. And sort of you talk about it, but all I'm gonna say is Godzilla minus one is a must watch for anyone that loves action movies, that loves dramas. Action movies or dramas. Like that's what it is. It's not a John Wick movie where you have to love fucking the double tap to the dome. Okay. Okay. You just if you love dramas, you'll like this movie.
And
So
let me just cherry on top of the fact that what Maburi just said. You hear the price, $15 million that it cost to make the movie, and it's a Godzilla movie, right? So you're thinking, oh, that Godzilla is going to look like it was made in 1980. It looks amazing. The movie looks amazing. Am I lying? I mean,
no,
maybe
it looks amazing.
The backdrop context of this movie when you're watching it is there's a man who survives after fighting in the kamikaze. He's a kamikaze pilot, and he survives. For some reason, he survives. I forget the details, but he survives. The movie's through his eyes. He was supposed to die in war in a culture that demeans someone who's not giving their life for the country. And then this big, huge, giant Godzilla comes to take over the country after the US drops a nuclear bomb on Japan. So it is, when he says drama, it's amazing because you are in this movie in a way that it's hard to describe when talking about action movies. Because nowadays you talk about action movies and you think of like fucking Fast and the Furious, fucking John Wick, right? Where it's just shit being thrown at your face. Not I care about this person and I want them to survive. So it gives you a reason to care about this character. And on top of that, it's a fucking amazing action movie. So yes, all the way. I love it. For me, the movie that I have seen recently that I think is most definitely a millennial classic with Leo, I set up like the time to watch a movie, and I want him to watch the fucking classics. I want him to be
Spirited
raised.
Away?
No.
Has he started watching Miyazaki?
No, not yet, because he just wants pretty on the screen, and I'm not saying Spirited Away isn't, but I just go for the easiest hanging fruit, and I'm on Disney. I watched Finding Nemo, and I'm telling you, Pixar, like OG Pixar, is something
Pixar's
else.
amazing.
It's unbelievable how
when you
good
realize
that movie
the
is.
stories they tell.
Yes,
how little you have to actually understand to get the story. And then you saw how far they pushed it. I mean, with Wall-E, there's no dialogue.
exactly.
Like that's how far they can push it. Like that's how good these guys are. And then when you walk that idea and concept back, and then you watch a movie like Ratatouille, or you watch a movie like
Finding Nemo. Can I just talk
Nemo.
about Finding Nemo for a second?
Talk about Finding Nemo,
please, because it shook me at the rewatchability of that movie, and watching it and just enjoying it so much on the rewatch, and looking at my son who he's too young to understand anything that's happening, but is enjoying the visual aspect of it. I understand. I get so badly while I do these rewatches why Disney wants to remake all of these movies, because there's a magic to them that is hard to explain. And it is the concept. It is the fact that as an adult, I'm over here in tears because all of fucking Marlin's kids die and he cares so much for Nemo, right? And then my son is having the time of his life, doesn't understand what's happening, but everything just looks so nice and pretty. Right. And it's the most wholesome type of movie ever, and Pixar did it for like a decade and a half, nearly 2 decades, non-fucking stop.
Right.
So just credit where credit is due. I just truly enjoyed Finding Nemo. Like this was like last week when we were on vacation.
No, Pixar hasn't missed until the last like 3-4 years where they've missed a ton. The Oppenheimer soundtrack, crazy. I'll just mention that because that was my number 2. But I just want to. Oppenheimer just came out on the media like maybe 2-3 weeks ago. If you don't like Göransson soundtracks, or you don't like Hans Zimmer or or it's not a Hans Zimmer soundtrack, it's a Korn soundtrack. But if you don't like Christopher Nolan's soundtracks, then skip it. But I will say that it sounds amazing. And if you want a sense of occasion, that soundtrack is crazy. And then we'll go right from there to my favorite podcast episode
Mm-hmm.
of the past 3 months, which is the Rewatchables live show of The Fugitive live in
Oh
Chicago.
shit! You've been talking to me about this movie for years.
And I love The Fugitive. It's one of those movies where it's not just that they don't make them anymore. It's like, I don't know how to describe this movie, because essentially what it is Harrison Ford gets framed for the murder of his wife, and he's a doctor. On the run, he has to clear his name. Like, that's it. That's the movie. I just explained the entire movie to you. But here's the thing. At this point, Harrison Ford had done Star Wars. He'd done
shit.
Indiana Jones. So this is the biggest actor on the planet. When this movie came out, the font on the name of the movie was like letter 48, size 48, and the
Yeah.
font that Harrison Ford was like size 96. It was like the font of Harrison Ford's text was like twice the size of the font of the movie.
You're raving about the movie. Fantastic. This will probably be the number 1 or number 2 movie we do when we're done our Harry Potter series. But tell me about the podcast. Why did you like the podcast so much?
The podcast, this is the second podcast I've done about this movie.
This is the second rewatchables they do about
second
Fugitive?
rewatchables, but this one is live.
Oh, that's
This
awesome.
one's with Bill Simmons.
Yep.
And they do it in Chicago. And it just they nail all the beats, they answer all the questions, they ask all the questions. And it's just, if you love the movie, what I would suggest is watch the movie once, get a good sense of it, because it's a great movie, and enjoy yourself watching the movie. And then sit down and just listen to the podcast. You'll have a fucking great time. I don't know how to describe it, but sometimes because of what they say, you pick up stuff.
Okay. Gotcha.
You actually watch the movie.
Yep.
Right? Because sometimes you won't pick up stuff. But then some movies where you just want to enjoy the movie, watch it, and then when you actually listen to the rewatchables, you actually enjoy yourself, because you're like, oh shit, I remember that
album. The artist that I have been listening to, completely disagreeing with Mumbur's entire rant from the Grammys, is after seeing how great Michael did, I have been listening to Michael, and like, it's good music, right? It's hard to say that it's not good music, but it's like, I feel like I need to take notes when I'm listening to the album. The reason I'm saying it is I want people to listen to this album because it is good music, but it's not, I can't rave the way you're talking about the podcast, the rewatchables, or the way you're talking about Fugitive, because it didn't touch me in that way, but I enjoyed it. Michael,
which Michael?
Killer Mike.
Okay, because Michael Jackson would have touched you the way you wanted to be touched. I'll just say that right now.
Jesus Christ. I'm sure I might be out of his age range at this point. Like, just respect to the fact that Killer Mike won the way he did. It is good music. I just want to give credit. Yeah, it is good music.
Shout out to Killer Mike.
Exactly. Shout out to Killer Mike. The podcast for me that I have been listening to is this very specific podcast. I do listen to Chris Williamson's podcast, and it's episode 738 with Alex Hormozy. I know those are 2 really big names that are like all over YouTube right now, but that specific podcast, I mean, if for anyone who is in the beginning stages of trying to start something, like we are on this podcast, like we are on this YouTube channel, I am telling you, just put that on and it will give you the reassurance to know that what the fuck you're doing is what the fuck you're doing. It is it's such a good listen, because you do these things.
That's key.
Yeah, exactly. We do these things, and sometimes it's like, what the fuck am I doing, right? Because you've been doing it for so long, and you feel like, is this the right thing? Is this not the right thing? Should I? So all of these questions that you constantly have in your head, and it just gave me that energy to be like, fuck it, right? Just fuck it. This is what we're doing. I love it.
And then I will just add right at the end there, the last thing I'll say is, I've been listening to this podcast suggested to me, but it's called the Rich Habits Podcast. This specific episode is called "Real Estate is Not the Best Way to Get Rich," and I'll just say this because
Rich
America has
Habits, you
this
said that? I want to
Rich
type that in.
Habits.
Rich Habits. Okay.
Rich Habits. It's okay. It's okay. There's some episodes that are good. There's some episodes that are bad. But this episode's really good in the fact that it gives you alternate options. Because a lot of people feel like the only way they can get rich is, I got to buy a house,
That American dream.
rent
Yep.
it out, build a real estate empire, build it all the way up. And then when I'm 60, I'll get away. These guys cut that down and they'll explain way better ways, way more attainable ways for most people. And it makes a lot of sense. So
Yeah.
I'll say, give that one a listen, give Sordix a listen. And I think between the two of them, I think you'll have a better sense of best path moving forward. When I listened to that one, I was like, all right, cool. Because it's really tough. I think people just think, oh, yeah, I can just buy a house, rent it out, and then I'll make a ton of money. But that's not how life works. And people are way more inventive and people are way more creative than they give themselves credit for. And these guys really walk their way through that. So
yeah. And buying a house in 2024 is like fucking, it's insane. Yeah. It's literally insane. Any final thoughts? Nope. Any final topics? Anything else?
Nope.
All right, perfect. Ladies and gentlemen, that's your culture-changing events for March of 2024. We will try our best to be doing this monthly. Subscribe to our podcast. Please go to our podcast and subscribe to the podcast. Yeah, we'll catch you on the flip. Deuces.